Hello and a very warm welcome back to Widowed AF. You're here with me, I'm your host, I'm Rosie Moss, and I'm always here. Now, together we go on a journey of discovery with our guests. We find out who they were before tragedy happened and what the person they lost was like, and then we talk about how they've survived this terrible, life-changing event. And today I am really excited to have on this guest. We've communicated a little bit via Instagram because her Instagram handle is serving with 7. And what she means by this is she has 7 children. Listeners, 7. So this woman is an absolute powerhouse. She's all the way in Florida. Welcome to the podcast, Keisha Wheeler.
Hi, Rosie. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, even though you're in your car juggling childcare through the
Always
school holidays.
in my car.
I said my car feels to me like a tortoise or a snail has its shell. That's how my car feels to me. I feel like I've got everything I need in there. I could probably live in there for a few days.
Makeup, laptop. Yes, I'm with you. I can survive in this car.
There's probably enough snacks in the back of mine as well for a few days.
You already know, at least.
Yeah. Thank God you're not one of those people that doesn't let their kids eat in the car. Who are those people?
No.
They haven't got 7, let's be honest, Keisha. Okay, so Keisha is, as I said, a bit of a powerhouse, and her husband, Patrick, died in December 2021. So you were left quite suddenly as well as a single mother or solo mother of 7 children.
Right.
Which, we talk about cataclysmic, life-changing events. That's got to be pretty high up there. So before we talk about that, can you tell me a little bit about how you and Patrick met, what your life was like prior to this?
Okay, so it was crazy because this is something I have been thinking about the past couple of weeks because our wedding anniversary is coming up. It would have been 21 years, and I just,
of course,
and I'm just like, 21 years would have been major. Like, and then I'm like, how am I old enough to, even be married 21 years?
You were a child bride, right?
Well, this is what I'm hoping. But so we're sitting there, and I'm just like, I'm in my era. I go to college, and I'm like, you know what? I am here for my degree. I am here. I turned down 2 full ride scholarships to Indiana colleges, and I came all the way to Florida, got all this debt. But I was like, this has to be my place. This has to be my place. But I'm here for me. I wasn't looking for a boyfriend. I definitely wasn't looking for a husband. I was just very career focused, very goal oriented. And then here comes this guy who wants to talk and wants to hold my umbrella and everything. And I even told him, like, we had our first date. I'm like, what, I just want a friend. I just want a friend who is not trying to be in a relationship with me. And you seem like a really great guy. And he's just like, I'll definitely be your friend. But he was like, for a short while. And I kept being like, oh no, we can't mess it up. You will be a great husband for someone. But right now I'm not looking for that. And he just kind of looked at me and was just like, I hear what you're saying, but you are going to be my wife. And so we ended up dating. I mean, it was just so funny because I was absolutely just like anti the love mess, as I called it. And he was just him, and he was just amazing. And he was just steady and just so pure and just so funny and just so caring. And so we were college sweethearts.
It's very sweet. And I like his persistence and his kind of quiet assurance that this was going to be how things were going to work out.
Sure did. He sure was. I mean, that was kind of the coolest part. He would not relent. He was just like, I'm not gonna. I used to, he was a college minister, so he was on the ministry team. And I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, the preacher is just like a little bit crazy. He's saying we're gonna get married, and I just can't see it. And lo and behold.
There we go. So he was a preacher in college, because I know that he was a pastor at the time that he died.
Yes.
So did you come from a spiritual background yourself?
So, yes. So I was raised in the church. I was baptized when I was a little girl. My grandfather, the late Pastor Benny Williams, was my pastor. He baptized me. And it was so ironic as well. Like, I didn't think about that growing up. I wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to marry a pastor. I was very, like I said, career focused and success oriented. And so I met him in church. I actually was supposed to be moving back home. So this is like a super cool part of the story. I come to Florida and I was like, yeah, this is my village. But, I was like, I don't know. The first year was okay, but I was really getting kind of homesick. I was really close to my mom. And I was like, well, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to go back home. And that night that I made that decision, I saw a friend and she was like, I'm headed to church. I was like, well, what church is it? I go to church with her. I meet Patrick and I end up never leaving.
About divine intervention, hey?
legitimately.
Mhm. So how long after was it after graduation that you got serious? Was that when you decided to get married? And
So he proposed to me right the year before we graduated.
Mhm.
So it actually flowed really seamlessly. We dated. It was so funny because I didn't even want to say the word girlfriend. I was like, I am a grown woman. I'm nobody's girlfriend. He goes, well, I can't take you home and introduce you to my parents as my friend. So we're gonna have to make this official. So we dated throughout college. We got engaged right before we graduated. So he graduated December '04. I graduated April '05, and then we got married in August '05.
There's no stopping him then, was there?
No, it was like, let's get it.
And how long after that did you have your first baby?
So we actually didn't have Kendall, my oldest, who just turned
I
18.
saw.
I know, girl. I'm still like, yeah, she's the sweetest, and she's, definitely a mama's girl and a daddy's girl. But we didn't have Kendall until 2 years. I mean, after we graduated, we paid off our cars, we built a house, we built careers, we traveled a little bit, and then, and so we got to spend some really cool time with each other prior to becoming parents.
You're giving me
Lots of
goosebumps,
road
I guess, because
trips.
I know how the story goes. And you
Yeah,
just think how valuable and important that time together was. And
yeah,
also, you were career driven. You went to college. You didn't want to
yeah,
go straight into being wife and mama. Like that was coming, but you got to
yeah.
do the things that you wanted to do first. And that's
I
so
got to be with my
fundamental.
favorite person, like that's what I got
Yeah.
to spend time with my favorite person,
Yeah.
him just being my person. And we loved being married. Oh my gosh, like we were so excited about like the random stuff, like, the things that you don't think about now, we think about it, but just wake up and go to a yard sale because we need something for a new
Yeah,
house,
yeah, yeah.
it's those little things, those lazy Saturdays where we could just decide to up and go to dinner and that kind of thing. So we really relished in that time.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we lived in this
Yeah,
pokey
okay.
little studio flat in London, and we were both working, both on not on a great wage. It was our first jobs out of university, but
Yep.
a wage, no kids, no ties, no mortgage, and it was
Yeah,
the best. I shudder when I
it
think
was.
what we sensible decisions we could have made with that money, but we just went out every night. We just had a great time, and I'm so glad.
I'm glad that we did it too. And I think it's so funny because when you bring that up, especially with y'all being in the little flat, it's just like I remember when things would get hard, honestly, like as we got older and started having kids and stuff, we would always say, I miss Dothan. I miss Dothan, Alabama. That's where we were. In our life in Dothan, there was just us.
That
It was our
simplicity.
life. It was so simple. And there was no time. I mean, it was literally just him and I, building our life there. And it's funny to think you miss those things when you are getting further along in your marriage and in your family and your career. Now, the word miss carries a different level of weight.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah.
So then when you had, is it Kendall, your daughter? Kendall, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you had Kendall, were you in Florida then?
So we were not in Florida yet. So we became parents in Alabama.
Mhm.
So our first three babies were born in Alabama in the same hospital with the same doctor. It was the sweetest thing. And so we didn't move to Florida until I want to say 2011. So we made the transition to Florida. Patrick was pastoring at the moment. We had started a little business, and it's so hard to start a business. We learned, we were young. We were still in our late 20s. At this point, I'm on my third kid, and we were just like, this is really hard. And so this was the first time we made a decision, because the first time we went to Alabama from Florida was because we got jobs. So he was working for a large bank there. I was working for a large bank there. But Florida, when we came back, as parents, this was the first move we made because we wanted to.
Yeah.
We both looked and said, what's the one place that we absolutely love being together? And it was Tampa. And we went ahead and moved. So I had a 2-week-old baby, and we moved down here with best friends, and we started building our life here, and it just went up from there. I say to people, I didn't know I was moving here to become a widow, like
No.
straight up. And even with that, the move has still been one of the best parts of our lives.
Tampa Bay is lovely, isn't it? I've been to Orlando and British, and we have this kind of rite of passage where you have to take your children to Disney
You
once
have to
in their
take it to
lifetime. Yeah, it has to be done.
Yes. Well, we still haven't gone. That's how great I'll tell you Tampa Bay is, because The children have just lived such a rich life.
Yeah.
They still that we just took them to SeaWorld for the first time. That was their first theme park. But we've lived here almost 15 years and have just never run out of things to
She
do.
don't need to. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
We went down
So
to Naples. I'd had enough of the Disney experience. So we went to Naples, and it was Naples or Tampa Bay. And I think because it was mid-August, I think the place we could get a hotel that could take us all was so it was sort of, it was like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which one should we drive to get a little bit of respite. But I really wish I'd gone to Tampa Bay. Now I'll have to come back.
yeah, you have to come back
Yeah.
now. Now Naples is beautiful too. So that was still a
Stunning.
good
Very
choice.
upmarket
Yeah.
though. I wasn't quite expecting it to be as fancy as it was.
Well, it is actually one, I think, like the richest city several times.
When we were in the
Like
Uber from the hotel, I was like, how much is that one worth? How much is that one worth?
good point. Yeah, you went down to the straight fanciness,
Yeah.
especially from Orlando.
Yeah, the kids were, my kids were sort of covered in chocolate milkshake and a bit disheveled, and there's all these beautiful, people that just look like money, and they're just walking down all pristine. Yeah.
Yep.
We had a week. We were having a better time, I'm sure. So then you're going to Florida. You've got your 3 kids, and then
Right.
you had
How about a couple more?
just a couple, just to make up a football team. And did you always want a big family? Is that something that you both?
Absolutely not.
Oh, absolutely
and I
not.
love my kids. I love you, children. You're going to watch this. I always tell people we talked about the first one.
Yeah.
After that, it wasn't too much more talking.
It just happens.
They just kept coming.
We know how that happens. We
did
won't go into
not
more detail.
at all. Yeah, like we did not at all. Like, now he was great. I mean, Patrick was, I came from, it was just me and my sister growing up. And then my mom had I call him my late life brother, who I love, but we're 20 years apart.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up with just one sibling. Patrick grew up and he was one of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a bigger family. But I can say, no, every time I was just like, I'm pregnant. Like, who thought I was Ferda Myrtle? Like, I kept saying that because I was so, like, what was happening? I'm like, me? Like, so, but after we had the first one, the other ones just kind of came like that. And it was funny because, I just never saw that. I had nothing in me. And it was funny because we had, we were in ministry. So one of our first ministry jobs was kind of like a mega church, and they wanted to do all the prophesying. And they're like, come in, we're going to prophesy. And I'm like, okay, I'm not against it. I'm like, this lady looks at me and I'm all of 20 and she goes, you're going to be a mother of many.
Oh.
So I'm ready to leave the church at this point.
Yeah.
Because what is this lady talking about? I mean, nothing in me was like agreeing with that. I'm like, does she know me? A mother of many. How does that make any sense?
She means in my faith, I'm going to look after a lot of people. But
at this point, I'm still ready to leave the church, but I'm willing to take that, that direction. But she was absolutely right. And not only that, but I continued to do children's ministry. Wow. For years and years after that. And I never saw it.
So you really are a mother of many.
Right. Yes, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
But that still shocked me. But yeah, so and he was so stoked. Like every single time I was like, I'm pregnant. He's like, yes. He's like at every single doctor's appointment. Even the kids were excited. I mean, I have videos of them crying. I'm like, I'm announcing another sibling and y'all are actually still happy.
Yeah, I don't think mine would have forgiven me. Hector was so furious that Tabby was a girl.
Now we had a couple of those. It was like, Mom, like the tiebreaker. But we had a tiebreaker and a time maker. And
what have you got? Tell me what you've got. Can you remember?
4 girls and 3 boys. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that is really perfect, isn't it?
We called them the bookends. So my oldest is a girl born in July, and my youngest is a girl born in July. So I'm a patterns person, and I just thought, I was like, that's how it began and that's how it ended, and even like right at the end, and this is kind of going to segue when we start talking about our loss, but everybody would always say, are you done? Right. Like, and I know that, and I know about over there, but over here, I'm a straight hippie, like who has 7 kids, thankfully I got a couple friends now with big families, but people, especially even my mom's like, girl, like at this point, like, are you done? So I had like a little snippy reply to it, but Patrick was always like, no, like I can't say when we're done. And this was the first time that he said we were done.
Interesting.
And he didn't even say, right before he passed, because the baby was just one. And he said it just like this. He said, so-and-so asked me, were we done? And I know I always say, I don't know, because if I don't say that, it seems like we get pregnant as soon as I say, I don't know. And so he said, and I told him, I think we're done. And I think about that because I mean, she's great. My finale is wonderful and she's beautiful and her heart is pure. But at the same time, I do wonder, like, people say, did he know? And I'm like, there's no way he could have known. But then, I remember that conversation a couple months before he died. He was like, I think we're done.
I wonder whether on some, like, not even conscious level, maybe.
That's what I think. I think about that.
So you call your last child the finale. Mine is the cherry on the cake, because I always say, we had this, everything was really perfect and we had two beautiful, healthy boys, but you were the cherry on the cake. Yeah. Yeah.
Super cute.
I don't know if that's the name I always call her, if I'm honest, but girls are different, right?
You gotta be honest. Yes. Different days. Yes.
I found the boys to be more simple. But what I could really see from your Instagram, and if people don't follow you, they should, because it's lovely. You get this real insight into your life, and you post videos and pictures of Patrick with the kids, and you can just see, and I know these are snapshots, I know that, of course, but you can see the love and the delight that he's taking in just being around his children. And so I can see kind of why you ended up having so many children with the man, because if he, when somebody loves them that much and is involved and hands-on, it's a very different scenario to, say, raising them by yourself, Keisha. Wow.
And I'm so glad you brought that up. But I always tell people, I would have never had 7 kids for anybody else.
No.
Patrick.
Yeah.
These are his children. He wanted these children. He wanted me. He loved me. He loved his family. And you're absolutely right. There is, even if I had an inkling that this was down the road, I'm sure that all of them wouldn't be here. I would have never, ever in my wildest dreams, in the nightmares, did I think I would be ever
you don't,
a solo mama.
You don't.
No.
And I think this is the thing now, because of what's happened to us and because of the grief world that we now work in, perhaps you do think more about it. But back then, it never even crossed my mind that my husband would die 6 months after our third child was born. And like you, not that I ever wish her away, mostly, but I don't think I wouldn't have had a third child. I wouldn't have got a dog. I wouldn't have taken on a new mortgage. These are all things that if you knew this was coming up the road for you, wouldn't.
Yeah.
But then look at what you wouldn't have, right? Look at what you wouldn't have. So it's a real kind of catch-22, that one is, would I rather have known or not? So actually that kind of leads us actually to talking a little bit about Patrick's death, because it was sudden, wasn't it? It was out of the blue. Talk to it again as much as you're comfortable saying. I don't want you to...
No problem at all. Thank you, Rosie. I mean, you're always just so gentle and so real, and I appreciate that. And I don't have a problem talking about it, because the thing is, if me not talking about it would bring him back, then I wouldn't talk about it.
Okay.
You feel me? I mean, real talk. I would be like, but it was crazy, because our family, we raise our children in ministry, and ministry is different from raising them in church. So we raise them to be the church. We raise them to take the gospel, to be the hands and feet of Jesus to people. And so as little as they can remember, all they know is waking up on Saturdays, packing up food for the community, and going to deliver to doorsteps and praying for people. All of them have had this experience, even the baby. And so this was just like, we had just moved. Okay, so first of all, surviving COVID and then losing him just felt like, as my son said, it just felt like a plane crash into
the teeth, right?
Who survived? We survived in a whole pandemic. We had just started a church. So we not only survived the pandemic, we had graduated with our masters. This is 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. Then I had a baby 2 months later, and we had a ministry. And so we were trying to figure out the digital space, because we couldn't meet. We had a small congregation, so we ended up being able to meet with certain protocols and all of that. So anyway, that was our life. So it was that year, 2020, was a lot. And then 2021 was a lot of transition. So we're coming, what we thought, out of the pandemic. We had just sold our house. We moved into a new house, new year. We were just going to the pumpkin patch. I mean, establishing roots again on another side of town. We had moved away, and then we had moved back. We had built out kind of in the country and kind of came back. So anyway, we were up doing our regular routine. I remember that morning very vividly, because of course, like we were talking about, there's no way I'm thinking that this is the last morning. There is no way. So we wake up, the baby's in the bed with us. I co-slept with all of them. I know that that's controversial, but they're
So did
fine.
I.
And the baby's asking me about this last night. I'm like, we love sleeping with you.
Mm.
And so
I
anyway,
still
so we
do.
are co-sleeping. Girl, she was talking about that. She was just like, "Yeah, I just feel like I should be out of the bed by now, mommy." And I'm like, girl, ain't nobody rushing you. We're fine. We're snuggle
Yeah.
buddies. It's okay. And you know why.
Yeah,
We
of course,
still do
right?
it. Um, so anyway, so we're all in the bed, me, her, and Patrick. She gets up. She's just learned how to fist bump. So he gets up and she's like, giving him his morning fist bump, this spicy little 1-year-old. And we're getting ready to go do outreach. And so we had just moved into the house. I'm in decorating mode, which right now I couldn't decorate ever again. It's coming back to that. Like I was done. That was the mode I was in. I was decorating, like setting up for our new life. And I didn't know that it was this. So we wake up, she fist bumps Daddy. He's like, I said, hey, why don't you get a head start? You go and meet our associate, Aileen. She's a great friend and also in ministry. Y'all go ahead and get the food ready for the outreach. He had called another gentleman and was like, hey, I want to see you today. Meet us at the outreach, prayer and produce. We're going to go give out food. So I said, you go ahead. Y'all get a head start with the big kids. Me and the little kids will come later. So I finally decided, I said, you know what, babe? I'm tired. The little kids are going to be fussy. It's Florida. Even though it's December, it still was hot. I was like, let me keep the little kids this time. I know we always go out together. We've been doing it for so long. This time, let's not do it together. So he's looking at me crazy because that's not what we normally do. He goes to the store shopping for the food. I'm staying in the plaza with the younger kids. And my daughter called me. She said, hey, Mom, Daddy's has a pain in his chest. Can you come get him? Just as calm, because she's very calm. And I was like, okay. Well, they didn't know I was next door. So I walk over, see what's going on, walk over to the next door. And he's in a truck and kind of like reclined, like holding his chest. And he says, I needed you to bring the van. We had a van,
Of course, yeah.
15 passenger, like a whole,
Proper bus.
it was literally like, it looked like a tour bus. And so I was like, well, I didn't, I'm snapping. I'm like, I didn't know you needed the car. Okay, I'll get the car. I go get the van. All of us take him to this emergency room. It's right up the
Imagine
street.
you're rolling
from where
up
we
and
were.
with all of you getting out.
Rolling up, all of us. And so, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let him out and I'm gonna take the kids. I'm like, y'all are old enough. Everything was so close. So I called my sister. I'm like, hey, I just usually go to the house. I had to drop Patrick off at the hospital. So he walks in, he's like, I love you. And I'm like, well, no, you're not gonna tell me you love me and walk into the ER. Straight up. I was like, no, I love you too, but I'll be back. So drop the kids off, come back. And they say, can you have a seat for a second? And I'm like, seat. No, that's not how this works. He's had pain in his chest before. He's been fine, and like years before. And I sit down, I go back, and they're just everybody standing back. They're like, we cannot operate. He has ruptured his aorta. We cannot do this surgery here. We're going to airlift him. So I have this weird ability to be the calmest person in a store.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unnaturally calm. And I was like, okay, all right. Hey, babe, they're going to airlift you. I'm going to go ahead and get ahead to the hospital. I'm going to hit the highway, blah, blah, blah. I'm glad I didn't leave because they ended up coming back. It was like, it's too risky. So we told the surgeon to come. The surgeon is 20 minutes out.
Surgeon's coming to him.
Surgeon is coming to us, to the hospital. Best in the business. Surgeon comes in. I am just hearing them, but I'm trying to keep him calm. But then I noticed that he notices that they're trying to keep him calm. And then it gets weird. Now, Patrick, 6'2", literally 280, 300 pounds, big guy, big old teddy bear. I've never seen him afraid, ever. And I think that's one of the hardest parts because I felt like he was afraid. Now, this is God's favorite right here. This is God's, loves Jesus, college student. He would get up and walk the baseball field praying, worshiping, blessing people, feeding the homeless. This is who he is. I'm like, well, ain't no part of this world where he doesn't live, right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
So I can tell that he's afraid. And I'm talking to him and he's like, play music, but don't play this. And I'm like, okay, so just trying to get him through it. So we get him through it. He goes back to surgery. I'm like, babe, I'll be right here when you come out. I'll be right here when you come out. So he goes in, they come in, they're saying, hey, it was a lot of damage, but, the surgeon was like, I'm confident in what I did, the repair and everything, but we got to watch this and watch that. We're in the hospital, and I don't even really let people come, and people couldn't come anyway, it's COVID. I let the pastor come and that kind of thing, but he didn't ever regain consciousness. And so after that, 6 days in the hospital, he codes. And I was up there. My sister just insisted on coming. I was like, no, I got it. I got it. I'll call you if I need you. She's like, no, I'm going to come. She comes, and right before midnight, December 10th, we lose him.
I'm so sorry.
And thank you. It was even still, and I know how sudden it was. I'm still playing back. I don't even think I've ever been able to go back and unpack what actually happened. I remember details. Like, I remember being upset. I remember I didn't cry. I couldn't cry. I remember they were like, you can come and say your goodbyes. And I was like, you already told me he's gone. Who am I saying goodbye to? Like, I tapped him on the shoulder. I'm like, good job, babe. And I meant
Thanks.
that, like, in life. You know what I mean? Like, you did a great job. But that was all I can muster up. And I'm like, what do I do now in there? Like, you got to sign this. And I'm signing stuff. And I go out to the parking lot. I drive myself home. Because I'm still not understanding what, I'm the get it done person. Like, he's a visionary and I'm the implementer. Stuff is happening. My job is to get it done. So I'm like, I get out to the parking lot, and I remember going, no more adventures. I audibly said that. No more adventures. Because what? The kind of life we live, the books that we could write, no more adventures. I remember saying that. So I drive myself home, and I get in the bed with my oldest. She's in our bed. I climb in the bed. I'm about to go to sleep. Jump up. I guess adrenaline wears off. I jump up with the one motion, walk out the front door. Barefoot, everything. I walk out to the cul-de-sac because my body's pacing like, wait, trying to catch up, like what I just did. And that was crazy. And so I waited to tell them into the morning because they needed one more night of regular rest.
I remember
in
that.
their reality. You know what I'm saying?
I remember sitting on the sofa and thinking, well, I need them to have one more night of innocence. I need to not break their hearts yet. And then, waiting for the first stirrings. But gosh, that's really got me in the feels, that has. That vision of, firstly, of your big, strong bear of a husband being afraid. I mean, that's the one thing that I really not allowed.
You can't reconcile it.
Yeah, because I always think, did Ben know? Was he scared? Did he know? And it's the thought of my big, strong husband being scared that terrifies me. But also this picture of you going through this automatic pilot. And I've spoken to lots of people who've had a similar sort, we offer to make cups of tea for the police. And then it kind of catching up with you and that pacing and that the reality of what's just happened to you. Like, even I can pick, like, getting into bed and the shock of it. God.
Yeah. And then the crazy thing too is, like, and even with me telling you this, and this is kind of why I do what I do, as far as why I share so intimately and openly, is because it didn't stop there, Rosie. It's not like that right? happened. Right. And then I'm like, oh, I get it now. I'm a widow. I want to know.
Now to start those 5 stages.
5. Oh, girl, don't get me started. But and I'm just sitting here like, y'all, that was the night.
Yeah.
I am almost 5 years in. And there's still times where I'm just like, wait, carry the one, divine thoughts. Where's my husband? What just happened? And I think that, and you definitely can attest this, when people do the whole, oh, they saw you and, oh, she's handling so well. Baby, I don't know what just happened.
Yeah. And also, I've got children looking at me with those big wide eyes saying, Mum, what are we going to do? That's that they need you. And you cannot collapse and give up. You can from time to time, but
you can. And I do a lot of collapsing, but the quitting you can't.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. Like, you can't. I always tell people I technically quit every day. I wake up every day like, no. Yeah. Okay. Yesterday was enough. I'm not doing this again. Yeah. I can't. But I don't have that option.
No. If you want to keep your kids alive, right?
We got to stay here. We woke up alive today.
Yeah.
So we have to do today. We have to clock in today. But it's never without a fight. It's never without kicking and screaming. It's never without questioning, how is this our reality?
You talked a bit there about Patrick and, how he'd led this incredibly good life. In the eyes of the church of God, he'd led what anybody would determine as a good life. How do you reconcile that with the fact that he was taken? How has it impacted your faith?
So I do a lot called fragile faith,
Mm-hmm.
because the point of it is that even though it's fragile, it's still solidified. One of the things that I can very confidently say is it definitely changed my relationship with God, especially in the beginning. From someone who has been doing church or putting on church or leading a church for years, I am now the person that may go once a month, if that. Like the first time, I think last year was the first year that I went to church 8 times, which is so rare because I'm there 52 Sundays. Like I am, but I think that what happened with me is the first thing I knew, because my faith was genuine and real. And even with my kids, that was one of the very few highlights of what happened after this. I was proud of me and Patrick for giving them a true faith, because when there were tears, when there were questions, they would go and take them directly to God. My one baby, I mean, the wails, the things that I've survived that I haven't dealt with yet, I remember one of my daughters just screaming. She said, I know you love us, God, but this doesn't feel like love.
Oh my God.
I had one kid, she was screaming this song called All My Life You Have Been Faithful, All My Life You Have Been So Good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. But she sang it and screamed it enraged, because here I have this little girl who wants to believe that,
Yeah.
because she knows it and she wants to connect with it. But her body is so angry, and she's like, we needed him, and he loved you. So me remembering all these conversations where my children took their pain right to God, that let me know that Patrick and I had done a good thing.
I was just going to say, and it's quite a healthy thing for a child to have somewhere, whether it is a god or whether it's, some kids have like a stuffed toy that they can just wallop and, shout at, and, like a rage doll, because to put somewhere where they've got all this anger and hurt. And we know that they direct it towards us. I've had the anger directed at me from my kids when they were younger, not so much now. And actually to have this belief in God, that gives them somewhere else that they can say, hang on a minute, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. Why have you done that?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's not normal over here for children or for anybody to what they call question God.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an even deeper level for us because of the confidence that they had in their faith to take it to God and say, God is big enough, and this is the only place where I feel safe bringing it. And see, for us, that was a different level, because most traditional churches teach, oh, no, 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 God's way is always the right way, and it always feels good, and it's his plan, and you just deal with it. Now that's sad, and it's really toxic, but it's common. So for me to see me and Patrick's kids going, hey, I believe in you, I trust you, we serve you, we love you, this does not make sense. The confidence that they were able to take to the throne is what we call it, and be like, God can handle it. And so truly and biblically, God is God enough to handle my little fist bump,
Scrappy
because
do.
he doesn't report to me. Now for the mama, a lot changed for me as far as my relationship with God. But one thing that was really true, I said, you have to be the true and living God, because you're the only one that could have allowed this. You're the only one who could have allowed this to happen. You are almighty. And so my reverence of God was there, but the relationship was fractured. And I kind of liken it to when you're in a relationship with somebody and you think you're a little more important than you are. You go somewhere and I'm like, I'm introducing God, saying that we're together forever. And he's like, that's my homegirl. Like, that's how I felt. Like that's the best depiction of it. So I was kind of like, okay, God, I thought me and you were something else.
Yeah.
Let me step back and figure out what it really means, what my faith really means and what it's comprised of. And for me, it basically was, God is the Almighty God. Jesus Christ is our Savior, and he will provide. Like, those are the only three tenets I can stand on. I have a master's degree from seminary. studied the Bible front and back, lived it, been in ministry 20 years. But the only three things my faith could boil down to were those things, those cornerstones, because everything else, every scripture, every song, like imagine we met in choir. We would sing anything. The kids will be coming downstairs and we would just sing, "Here Comes That Kid Again," or something. I mean, we sang everything. He went to college on a choral scholarship. You know, he was a bass. And
I was going to say,
so
was he a bass? I can picture a loud
he was a
booming
bass. He was a bass. Oh
baritone.
my God. Everything vibrated, you know? And he sang operatic type music. So it was really interesting and cool. But I couldn't sing anymore, Rosie. Like, what am I singing? What am I singing? Where it like
So you've lost
it
this
was
other
my
thing that brings
counterpart.
you joy.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't. And I think that was one of the things that made me angry with God, because I was like, you had me. You had me.
You feel almost like,
Wh-
yeah, you've been betrayed.
Oh, 100. Oh no, I was.
Mm.
That was the number one word. I was just like, you had me. I loved you. I worship you. I raised my children for you. I don't regret any of that. Why would you take my song away? I couldn't hear music. I
Can
couldn't
you
sing
now?
it. I couldn't hear it. I can, but I will tell you the only consistent thing I was able to listen to was Christian rap, because it was
Christian rap,
upbeat,
that's
because it,
niche.
oh my gosh, it's so good. It was poetic and it was indicative of them telling life stories. But when it came to the psalms and the songs and the worship and the hands raised and all of that, like I couldn't do that again, because I didn't quite understand how to do that with my husband in the ground. You know, we had built this faith together, we had grown together, and it just felt, I didn't know the God of that music. And that's hard to say, and that's going to be hard for people to hear, but it's just the truth.
It's
I
really
could not,
important, I think.
yeah, I couldn't understand the God of that music
Yeah.
anymore that they were singing about. I didn't know him in that way. And so yeah, I mean, my song went away. I used to be a worshiper. And so, you know about all of the things, all of the real things that we grieve after the death. It's not just him being gone. It's all of the things. It's the pieces of us. I'm not the same, you know?
You're not the same parent, are you? Because, I imagine you were quite stretched anyway with 7, but then
Hmm.
suddenly you're the only parent, you're the provider.
Yeah.
You've got to worry about every bill, every meal, every
Everything.
new parent. Do they go to school, your kids? Are
Yes.
they homeschooled?
They're
I
homeschooled.
thought
Yeah.
they were. And I was like,
Hmm.
blimey, this woman homeschools them
Yeah.
all as well. But
Yeah.
so you must be incredibly close. How has this? And again, they're all different individuals, and I'm not going to ask you to go
Right.
through each one. But how have they been affected? Because I wrote this quote down, so I'm going to read it back to you. One of the things I read that you'd said was that grief is a lifelong journey, but it doesn't have to define a family's future. And that's really
Hmm.
resonated with me, because I've said as much to my kids, this is a terrible,
Good.
terrible thing that's happened to you, but it doesn't have to define you. But of course, you and I both know that putting that theory into practice is quite difficult, especially
Hmm.
when you're dealing with heartbroken kids. So how are they now?
So, you know what? It's one of the things I can say though is that, and one of the things that I'm actually getting a little backlash for in my life is I've pretty much kept their life the same. And the good part of that is they are healthy, they're busy, they love friends, they're congenial, they're smart, they're growing, they're achieving, but they're emotionally healthy, whereas they know I'm socialed out. I'm really missing daddy right now. This is a milestone. I need a minute. They're able to communicate and articulate. They're in a safe space. So our grief is something that we carry every day. We carry it as a group. And I think that they know that this is going to be a journey, but we talk about Patrick so much and we keep his legacy alive. They never felt like they had to put it down to move forward. And I think that's one of the craziest things to expect of anybody, but especially
Child.
children. And so from the outside in, I mean, they look stellar. I always tell them they're never missing in a room. If there's something to be done, if there's something going on, if there's an award ceremony, if there's a service project, they're everywhere. And the issue though is sometimes I think that makes them put me into a situation where my cape is wider than it needs to be because they're so used to mommy just swooping in and handling it, that I do have to have a lot of times where I just say, all right, we're done. Don't sign up for anything else. Don't go anywhere else. We have to sit in this for a moment because you guys have to understand that you do have one parent and you can't burn me out. You know what it's like. And so I think their expectation of me being super at times really does have an impact on me. And I'm like, hey, I am still a widow. I am still what that Bible talks about. Ministry is still home into me, so we do have to do a lot of regrouping, but the kids are phenomenal. They are brilliant. They are progressing in every way possible. They are growing, and they're missing their dad.
And it's that parallel, isn't it? That all of this can be happening and be true, but they are going to miss their dad as well.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're doing an incredible job over there. Can I just ask, why would you get backlash for keeping their lives the same?
It's more so, and backlash might not be the best word, but it's just more so me realizing sometimes that the more I do, the more they expect.
Yes.
And that grace that they give everyone else, they don't have for mommy.
Yeah.
Because they don't miss a beat. They've not missed a beat. And they've created the memories and they've reached the milestones. And it's just kind of like when I say, hey, we need to scale back or we need to just calm down, or mommy's I'm in 50 different directions. I'm trying to figure out how to raise a young adult, how to raise teen boys, how to raise tween girls. I got all the way down to a first grader. I'm like, I need there to be some grace given to me. It can't just be mommy on, and a part of that, and I know you know this well, but the part of it is the equalizer is not here.
Yeah.
Patrick would have very quickly been like, leave mama alone. She needs a moment. She needs time. I'm going to take them away. And so, and then all of the decisions, that's one thing that we didn't talk about yet. But, yes, all the bills and all the meals and all the carpooling, but the decisions.
Even just what to feed them every day. Like, I'm so fed up of thinking what to make. Literally a million times a day as well. And I go to open the drawer and there's nothing in there. I'm like, I'm going to have to get a lock. I'm going to have to lock the food away. You're like locusts.
Especially in the summer.
Yeah.
She's still like locusts. I got that. I'm gonna have to use that with my kids. You guys are like little locusts.
They are. It's just like the cupboards are just like there'll be maybe some dry pasta left.
This is true, and it's just and it's all of the things like and then it's not just what to feed them. It's did we just eat that? Is this healthy enough? Yeah. It's so many nuanced decisions in every move you make. It was something that's small, and I got to tell you this because there were some things that we never did. When Patrick was alive, they never spent the night anywhere. And it wasn't like everybody's bad. It was just we loved our kids. We had them on purpose. They're going to stay with us. And so then now we get into spaces where there was some like overnight spiritual retreats that they wanted to go to with very trusted people. But the first year I was like, nope, bring them home every night. I got to see them, And so even those things like now, like they have finally like been able to spend the night, with trusted adults and background checked, ministries and stuff like that. But even that decision, do I do this?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Do I let them go? I have nobody to kick this off of because it's a unique situation. You can have wisdom in your circle, but nobody's their dad.
And before Ben died, we were really quite strict on screens. I mean, not as strict as I was before I had 3 children. My first I was really strict. But there was no iPad or Xbox or anything like that. And then somebody, in fact, it was my brother, he raised money to buy them a Nintendo Switch, the boys. So then they have one between them. Then they're fighting so much. And this is the other thing, you just say yes to stuff, right?
Fighting!
So I got another one.
With the fighting?
And then, so suddenly they've got a Nintendo Switch each. Then the baby, I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm getting a second-hand iPad. We've got it going on an airplane. And suddenly, my kids are like screens coming out their ears. Yeah.
Especially the younger ones.
Yeah, because I cannot do it all. Like, I can remember first time I put her in front of the TV, we were going away. Somebody had very kindly paid for us to go to a holiday place. And I sat her in her high chair in front of Peppa Pig. And suddenly it was silent.
We love us some Peppa Pig.
It was silent. There was nobody crawling around, And I just thought, you know what? Everything I believed I knew about being a mum, being a parent is going to change. It's going to change.
Ooh, Oh, yes.
And you know what? They're all right. They're all able to hold a conversation. They can get through a meal without a screen. They can, they can do touch grass occasionally and go outside, and they're academically able. So I think all of the things that we thought really mattered just cease to matter so much,
The point.
I just want them to be safe, happy, loved. But I also need myself to be safe and happy and sane.
You have to be, and the sanity is fleeting, okay, on a daily basis.
Oh, yes.
because this life, this is not a life for a sane person. I don't care what anybody says. Like, this is not normal. People were like, "Oh, new normal, baby." No, there's absolutely nothing normal about being born. I mean, my husband prayed over these kids. We have video footage of them being born, him recording and praying over them before he even handed them off to me. So no, there's nothing normal about waking up in hospital with two parents and then going to sleep every night with just one. That never becomes normal. It is your life, but it doesn't, become normal. But I agree with you. I think that there are certain things, and now that is one of the things I struggle with having the just with so many, the ones who got daddy for longer.
Oh, yes.
Seem to feel like they can comment on my parenting with the younger ones. And I'm like, honey, baby, let me tell you something. 7-year-old you and 7-year-old number 6.
Different beasts.
2 totally different lives, different beasts. They got a different mom. You as a 7-year-old would not imagine that your father would not be there to read devotional with you in the morning. Baby number 6, he was only 3 when we lost Patrick. He has a counselor, a mentor, a pastor. Like, he has to have a different whole set of people just to even bring a little bit of what Patrick would bring, And so, like you said, I mean, we are different, and we are so different, and we don't look different. And I think that is what warrants people to assume that we are doing better than we are.
Can you imagine if we walked around looking how we felt? Can you imagine what society would make? We'd be locked up, wouldn't we? If I walked around, with the dark circles and the unbrushed hair and, yogurt down my top, and I mean, kind of like I was looking in the first week, that, I had this enormous cold sore, I was breaking out, I was a wreck. And I thought, if I just...
Okay, wait, you gotta tell me about that, because one thing people don't think about is your immune system gets hit.
Yeah, enormous.
We were catching everything.
Yeah, cold sores, colds, urine infections. Like, where was I getting them from?
Yes.
I felt ill all the... I mean, I lent quite heavily into alcohol, which I've spoken quite openly about because so many of our tribe do. And that probably didn't help. But yeah, if I had walked around like that, people wouldn't have known what to do with me either. It's like they want to see, but they don't want to see. And, even the first time I put makeup on, I remember thinking, is this really disloyal of me to put makeup on? But, also I don't want to scare children. I'll try and find a picture for you from the early days. That was quite scary.
Well, what's funny though, with me, it was a little different because, of course, girl, don't even drink communion wine, okay? But what was different was that when Patrick was here, it was known I was his. Anybody who knew me anywhere, this is a very well-loved woman. This is Patrick's wife. So for me, I did a lot of behind the scenes for our ministry and stuff. I didn't really care. I just kind of looked busted. But when he died, I immediately felt like I had to make sure people knew that I was this loved woman of Patrick's.
Yeah.
And that is a unique twist, I know. But like, if you look at pictures of me back when he was alive, I was cool. I wasn't fancied up. I had all these kids. I'm chasing everybody, whatever. But when he left this earth, I felt like I don't ever want anybody to look back on me and go, oh, poor Keisha. Patrick done left her all here ugly and busted. It's so weird, but I can remember I got all jazzed up.
So much effort into what I wore to his funeral because I was representing him. I was standing at the front of the church representing him.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, let's just talk a little bit about the work that you've done in grief support, because this is quite astonishing. And I was reading about it and I was thinking, this is such an incredible thing. So you've created Hand in Hand, which is a grief support group. And I'm reading from my notes here, so this is, I don't get anything wrong. And you meet up twice a week. Is it at the church?
Well, it's twice a month.
Twice a month,
yes,
twice
it's at a church. No. Yep, it's at a church. Yep.
and you have dinner, and then you kind of break off into little groups. But what I
Yeah.
really loved was that this is for little kids as well. Is it parents
Yes.
and the children?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so
Yes.
you kind of break off into like age appropriate groups, and the little ones,
Mhm.
it said, they talk about things that their daddy liked, maybe, or oh, I like plasticine or something like this, and that
Yeah.
enables them to talk in a way that, because so I'm rambling a bit here, I'm not doing a great job of this, but I know that my children don't do well in a traditional therapy session. They don't want to sit opposite a
Mhm.
therapist and talk about their feelings. I don't either, to be honest, but I know I have to, so I do it. So lots of kind of play therapies work quite well for my kids, and this is what this sounds
Do
like.
they?
It's like giving them a space to put these massive feelings, but to be around
Yep.
other people, because my God, don't we know how important it is to be
Yes.
around people that know how we feel?
Yeah, and I think that, and the quick story about that is that this was not a mantle I was picking up. I was busy enough.
Yeah. Oh,
Nothing in me was like, "Oh, let me just
let me change the
go and
world
start."
while
I
I'm
did
at
not.
it.
Right. Absolutely not. What happened was someone told me about it. My friend Mariah told me. She said, and of course, I don't know about you, but in the beginning, I didn't know who anybody was talking to. Don't talk to me about grief. Don't talk to me about, because this isn't my real life.
Yeah,
It's
this is
gonna
temporary.
change. This is a
Yeah.
nightmare. This is temporary. So, and she was like, "Well, you're ready. Grief support for kids." And I'm like, first of all, I'm a mental health advocate. My master's is in biblical counseling, lay counseling. So I was like, how do I not know about this? But okay, I was like, grief support for kids. Okay, whatever. I didn't even know that existed. So they go and they have a great time. They come out smiling, and I'm like, it's not
Interesting.
resonating. It's grief support group for children.
And
You
they're
go in,
smiling.
you grieve, you cry, and why are you smiling? And that's when it hit me, because you can be your authentic self when
Yeah.
you're around people who are not expecting anything of you.
Yeah. Oh,
the
that's
community
powerful
the
stuff.
community was what it was. But see, even back to therapy, so we were doing therapy first because, like I said, as a mental health advocate, I already knew. Like 2 days after the funeral, I was like, get somebody here. I don't know what we're gonna do, but just get somebody here. Because what I knew that was, and I told them, and this is how I sold therapy to my children. I said, you are not required to talk about daddy. You're not required to talk about daddy's death. You're not required to talk about anything. But this is a new person on our team.
Yeah.
People need people. You need someone to bounce your ideas off of, tell your story. This is your permission to talk to them about whatever. So I
Even
did
me.
it in a different way, even me. And I did it in a different way so that they felt like they had an ally, not that they had a prescription. And I feel like that's so important with any kind of therapy, especially individual therapy, whether it's children or not. They needed to know that they can talk about whatever. This is a safe person. And so that's kind of how we sold it with the kids. So, but in addition to that, the grief support group, they were getting around other kids. And so, to be honest with you, I'm looking at you and I would have never picked you out of a lineup on the street to say she's a widow, right? And I think that that's what they learned about the groups. These are regular looking kids. This kid likes basketball. This kid likes to cook, or this kid is on the spectrum, like I'm on the spectrum. Wait, so we're just all people that this awful thing just happened to, but we are regular kids. They just want to be kids. They don't want to feel guilty for saying, or, I miss my dad, or for bringing up their dad's name in school. And that's what I was finding out. We
Crying,
did
because
like a,
so many kids are scared of crying at school because they don't want to get picked on.
yeah, crying at minimum. And I think you even know the crying is easier to deal with than the feeling out of place.
Yeah. And the anger as well. My kids were angry.
Yeah, it's rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, but
In
now
that
they're
city, it's
acting
rightfully
out.
so.
Yeah, and then now they're acting out. So now they're going to the principal's office. And what's really happening is they don't understand this world anymore as it was. This is not the same world. This is the same school. You're the same teacher, but I'm the only one that came back different, without a dad or without a mom or without a brother. And so what we're learning in these groups is that we heal in community.
We do.
And
We
so
do.
when the kids are getting together with other kids who have experienced similar losses, there's an empowerment piece there. You don't go into every room feeling alone or feeling like they're expecting me to be the sad girl today, or they're expecting me to be over it today. Like, these are things that our kids are walking around with. And so at hand in hand, it's just twice a month, but we give families a space to just be. and we have a good time. We meet at the church normally, but for the summer we've done some fun things. Like we did a family smash room and a family paint room, and we have
Great
some
idea.
partners who gave us a 25-acre ranch, and my kids got to cast stones in the ponds and meet the horses and pick up the goats and the little baby goats, and paint and do, nature walks. And so, that's another big thing for me. We heal in nature. We heal in
Yes.
community. We heal in nature. And so we got to do some fun, like little activities. We'll do our Christmas party and things like that. So we do it, but we just do it as this little community where everyone comes and we already know, why everybody's there. So there's a certain welcoming feeling when you go into a space and you know that we all know we're all living it too. And so I can just be, all feelings are welcome here. That's what we tell the kids.
Amazing. There's something local to me. It's called Holding On, Letting Go, and it's a charity that so the parents go and have sessions and actually do craft, which I've not done for years. And then only one of my children wanted to do it at the time, but my daughter would like to do it, so we're going to go back. And they go, and it's two days over a weekend, but it's very short, it's very limited. But my eldest, he didn't want to go. Of course, he didn't want to go. What's mum making me do now? And when we left that first day, he said to me, "Mum, did you know that those other children, some of them have lost a dad as well?" And I was like, "Yeah, mate, I did." And he said, "It was really nice." He said, I feel bad saying it was nice because they've lost it. I said, no, I get it 100%. And I think there is something so powerful in finding community. And we are adults, we can go on social media, we can find a Facebook group or a support group. They can't. We have to do that for them. So I've always had lots of widowed friends, and they come around with their kids, and there is a magic connection between these kids. They get each other. But I love the idea of this regular meetups, and I'm actually might have to talk to you afterwards about this, because I feel like this we could do with something like this here. Like you, I'll be like, "Hey, I'll take it on. I'll take on another thing,"
Well, look, and logistically, come on, I have 7 kids. So when the group stopped, the first thing I thought was, how am I going to recreate a similar experience for 7 kids? Like, where do I take this one and this one? I was like, no, I'm just going to do my own.
Yeah.
Because, if I get the room, I get the space, I sign the contract, I build it, I at least know that we're going to have 7 children in attendance every session.
Yeah.
And so now we've grown from, of course, my 7 to over 37 children. And we were out at the ranch, and we've had 5 new families in maybe 8 weeks.
I mean, really sad that they have the need to be there, but how amazing that you're there.
And that's what we were, the thing is, my group doesn't make people die. People are already dying. My group just gives people a space to lament and feel safe and be able to talk about it.
You laugh a lot as well. I bet there's a lot of laughter.
Oh my gosh. We have because, you're talking about these dynamic fathers, these dynamic mothers, these dynamic siblings. And if you laugh about it in regular life with other people, they think you're weird, but not there.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to be quite careful because of what I do here, and sometimes it gets quite silly, and then I'll forget that I'm in normal people company sometimes and say something like, "Oh no, sorry, no, that was."
They're not going to get it.
No. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. So what are your hopes now going forward? What's next for this powerhouse of a woman?
So, well, you're sweet. Honestly, right now, I just. One of the reasons why I do as much as I do for me, even while I'm even doing this podcast, is because, as you said, the mama has to be sane. What I know very well of being a mom of many, and none of my children are multiples. So I have all 7 individual children. Is that
how much Christmas must cost you?
It's crazy. And I'm going to tell you, the community loves us. People from everywhere. That first day, because we lost Patrick 15 days before Christmas. I couldn't get in the door. The amount of gifts from the back of it was insane. The community loves my family.
I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Thank you. And they are, it was the first time that I realized, we do what we do because God said do it. We give, we did outreach, not because we had, riches. We just was like, there's a way to use what you have to be a blessing. But I never thought about it coming back to us until we lost Patrick. And the notes and the letters were just like, you've always been here for the community. It's our turn. We're going to be here for you. And
Amazing.
so I'm grateful that I have so many people in so many places who want to bless my children, who want to take them under their wing, who want to share experiences with them. I mean, like you guys, we've had trips gifted to us and things like that. And so I have to do these things because the momming doesn't stop, the grieving doesn't stop. So I have found that building this space for other grieving families with hand in hand has definitely given me purpose and solidarity. And that's been something that I needed. It's something that I can see a direct effect of, you know. So what we're hoping to do next, I was telling you about the ranch that we went to go visit. That's my next hope. We are looking to have about a 5 to 7 acre farm here in the Hillsborough County area where families can do a grief getaway. So it's like a
Amazing.
staycation, where it'll be like a little tiny home experience. We gotta have baby goats. We love baby goats. We'll have chickens, but we'll just have a off the beaten path where you can just go and grieve in nature. It'll
My
be like
God,
a three
sign me
day,
up.
2 night stay. Girl, listen, because I'm telling you, like the second Father's Day, we had to find an adventure. We have never woken up in this house without the father. Like he was the
Yeah.
best. He was the mentor. And so that's where the getaway started. So one day we found this little tiny home, like a barn thing, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a loft. And we all squeezed in there, but it was so peaceful.
Yeah. It's
And
like
my kids
camping.
opened
I've
the
never
front
camped
door.
before. I'm not a camper.
Yeah. See, I'm not a camper either, girl. I said this got AC and everything. Now I ain't going as far as camping yet.
Well,
But
Florida's very
I'm
different, I think, to England in that sense. But because of I don't
well,
think I'd
yeah.
do it in Florida.
But they love camping here. A lot of
It's
people
not
love
too
it. They
hot.
do it. They do it a lot. We have it can be, so you got to be careful about where you choose. But in this situation, it was just the land. It was just the creek. It was just the
Mm.
rooster crowing. It was just something that wasn't this big house where he did not come home to.
Yeah. I get
You know
that
what I'm saying?
completely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
So I never had Christmas again in our home. I mean, I moved house. So
that's real.
but we went abroad. We went to other people's houses. We have now
Yeah,
had a family Christmas on our own, and it's been absolutely fine. But I think for the first few
it took a
years, I,
while.
I just
Yep.
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it,
Yeah.
and I
It was
think,
we did that too. We
and
had
I
to get out. It's the holidays, like you're saying. It's the bigness of them being gone is too much.
you can't avoid it, and I think because
No,
everybody else is with their family, and you just feel so acutely aware that you're not a complete
the
family.
whole family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's what our next step is. So we are, just currently in a place of getting sponsors and donors. We're having like an Art Heals the Heart gala. You were talking about doing the crafts and stuff with the parents. Our parents love painting. They actually just painted while we were out at the ranch, and we got a local framing company to frame them. So in October, around Patrick's birthday, we're doing our Art Heals the Heart gala. And so
It's the
that's our
heart.
annual fundraiser where we auction off the art
That's
that all of
beautiful.
us have completed through the grief support group. And last year, everything sold. There was a bidding war on one of the little girls. She painted 3 pieces, and there was a full bidding war. And so now, adding to the fact that we created this art in a grief support group, and now I'm a sold out artist, and a therapist's office in a school has my painting hanging up.
Amazing.
There's a certain level of validation that we're finding with that piece, that brings this awareness, like I matter. I can create new things that matter, and people want to know about my journey. So that's what we got coming up next, the big gala. But ultimately, we're just trying to get this piece of land. We want families to be able to go visit it without cost, to go out and have you a little staycation and just have a moment. We're gonna have like a
Amazing.
little prayer pit, a little walking path with memorial names on it. So we're really excited about that next move. And of course, we're going to keep growing. We can still serve about 25 kids currently, like in our groups. We have room for more. And that's not that we want people to leave this earth, but we know that there are people who are suffering because they don't know we exist.
Yeah, there
So we
is.
have room for them.
And if people do want to find you, just tell people where they can find out more about what you're doing.
Absolutely. It's just handinhandbrandon.org. So it's handinhandbrandon.org. And the cool thing is, Instagram helped us name it to the group. My son came up with it, and we did a vote. It was hand in hand, and it was something else. And so walking hand in hand, because that's what we say. We can't fix your grief, but we can walk alongside you, on the journey. So it's been good to get them involved too as ambassadors. They've been naming the things and painting and helping plan the session. So having it under, their father's name is a really, really cool thing.
And it's also you're showing them, just by getting out of bed every day, you're showing them what it means to survive this thing. But you're also showing them that you can take this awful thing and create something really powerful and meaningful with it. And I just think there is no better example that you can set your children than, and it doesn't have to be as huge as this. It doesn't have to be, a podcast, a book. It doesn't have to be all these big things. It can just be, volunteering or, doing some race for life, which we have over here, charity and charity raising. And if people do want to get in touch with you, if people perhaps do want to donate or anything, they can do that via your website. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Okay. There's everything on Hand in Hand. It's also a really cool video. We've had news stories, come out, and just because we are one of the only charities that does this work that is not connected to a bigger organization. So we have grief support here, but it's connected to a church or it's connected to hospice. But this is grassroots. I mean, it is the Patrick Wesley Wheeler Foundation. Is widow founded, is woman operated. And so, and it's me and my kiddos, and so I think that was something that makes us stand out as well. We're not a big charity, but we do big work.
Yeah, you do. And incredible work. Well, Keisha, I am completely in awe of you. I really am. I think you're an amazing woman. And the fact that you are still standing and you're not just still standing, you're standing tall, and that crown is aligned beautifully. You're doing it amazingly, and those children, they must be so proud of you. They really must. And I know I am, from a stranger's perspective, for what that means. Now, if you have been affected and you're listening today, if you've been affected by today's episode, you've got any questions for myself or for Keisha, you can get me at Instagram. I'm at widowed_AF, and Keisha is serving with 7. Such a cool name. Such a cool name. 7. Well, I wish you and your beautiful brood of children all the best, and all the best for your charity work. I think you're going to do amazing. I hope that we cross paths again. I really, really do. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, we need a little trip, girl. I need to come over there and see you. So we'll talk about that offline.
Don't bring all 7 kids, so I can't fit them in my house. I'm sorry, you
listen, but they sing.
You stayed in one room.
So
you'll be
have
fine.
A serenade. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Oh, they don't need much. They'll serenade you, and they'll keep your kids busy. But yeah, we definitely need to talk about that.
That would be amazing. Anyway, you take care of yourself. It's been really, really lovely to meet you. And to all of you out there, you take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll be back with you next week with another story from the forefront of widowhood. Lots of love. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you think someone else may benefit from this, please do share. We'd also really appreciate a quick review. It helps more people find the show. Thank you again, and see you next time on Widowhood.